Hey, welcome to another video of Full Stack Conversations. We are in Delhi at the iconic Connaught Place. There's an Indian flag flying just behind us. Very beautiful, good cold temperature, and having fun with the one and only Mohit Mamoria. There we see actually the Indian flag getting some air under its wings. So there we are. And first of all, thank you so much for subscribing to our YouTube channel of Full Stack Conversations. Today, let's talk about
money.
A very interesting topic. Yes, a very interesting topic that actually, when we were comparing things in 2017 with things in 2015, we realized that there was one very interesting thing that was there, which is that if in case you're a startup, how do you raise funds? Do you raise funds by equity-based funding, or do you now raise funds under the blockchain era in cryptos? So let's have that conversation. So Mohit, any first thoughts on that?
I think there are more ways to raise money than these two, but these two are like more of the favored methods of fundraisers, because
Indeed.
a lot of obligations are not there. Like when you take a loan, when you take a debt, you have obligation to pay the interest.
Correct.
If you raise money through equity, you don't have an obligation because you already gave out the asset, which might appreciate or depreciate.
Exactly.
Now with ICOs, you don't even have that obligation because you might build product or you might not build product. You just need to sell.
So that's a very interesting mindset that you have actually come up with. That
no, that's not
raising funds.
That's not my mindset.
Ah, yes, indeed.
That's not my mindset.
So let's understand it this way, that does raising funds through an ICO have no responsibility or no obligation? I would say, and it actually is true in all kinds of fundings. Access to public money comes with public responsibility.
True.
So whether it is public money by way of you taking a loan from a bank, you've got an obligation towards the bank. When you're taking money in equity and then you are issuing shares, the obligation does not end there. You have to have a clear roles, responsibility and answerability from the people from whom you've taken money.
Yes.
And those roles, responsibility are then captured in an agreement called either a shareholders agreement or an investors agreement. Now, what is very interesting in the crypto world is that people think that raising money through an ICO and then they just vanish. So what is very concerning is that even if the regulatory frameworks may not be there yet, but access to any third person's money comes with responsibility towards that third person.
Absolutely.
So even if you're raising funds through cryptos, well, in some countries it is allowed. Some countries are not taking any stance. India, well, does not have a stance as of date, but it still has a public responsibility towards the persons from whom you have taken the funds. So say for instance, you promised as a startup, say for example, if you promised that I'll be building a certain tech product against which you raise funds in certain utility tokens. Now you have a underlying responsibility and obligation that you have to then make an honest attempt to actually build that product. So Mohit, any thoughts on this?
Like, in this entire sentence, there were so many words which were very ambiguous. Like, how do you define honest attempt?
So I would say let's analyze it this way.
It is
on an average, no, it is. I would say subjective, but it can still be defined in this sense that I have seen about, say, 90-95% of the startups fail within the 3 years of their incorporation, which is fine. But people don't call them a scam.
Yeah.
However, if a crypto-based startup is raising funds in an ICO and then they fall in 1 year's time or 3 years' time, people start calling them a scam. Yes. What is the difference? The difference is in the honest attempt that was made by the founders, by the startups, to at least build the product.
Yeah.
So say for instance, just adding one more line. I know you've got some thoughts around it. So just one thought here, that when you access money from investors, whether equity investors or whether crypto investors, now you have to make sure that the end use of money, that is the purpose for which you have taken the money, you make an honest attempt to build that product. You make an honest attempt to build that service. Now, in case you take money in crypto forms and then end up maybe on a beach in Miami, and
with pina colada.
So those things, and then you say that okay, sorry, the product was not built. So that is a very non-subjective thing, that you did not have an honest attempt to build the product.
Absolutely.
Your thoughts?
So you know what, I have seen this market evolving and changing very rapidly. So while in the early 2017, a lot of projects who raised money was from the retail investors. Like everybody contributed $100, $1,000, $5,000. That's it. Like, and thousands of people participated and contributed $100 on average or $200 on average. Now we have seen in this market that these funds have come up. These small groups of private investors have come up.
Very nice.
Now again, these projects do not go out to really retail investors and say we need $10 million. They
Correct.
reach out to again 3-4 people and they say we need $10 million, and they give like $2.5 million each. Now because the number of people are small and the amount is big, now there comes like a heavy burden on their shoulders
So this
to
is the evolution.
actually deliver and make an honest attempt.
I think we've seen this thing. We've seen this thing in the startup world as well. This was the evolution of the entire fundraise process. That initially some people came to know that, okay, yes, this startup is actually very exciting and it's good to actually put in funds. And then lots of people started thinking that way. That was the birth of the fund houses.
Yeah.
So that evolution will surely happen in the crypto world as well. However, what we see is that one thing that I wanted to share here is that the startups that were struggling to raise funds, maybe $1 million in 2015-16, all of a sudden during the crypto boom, the numbers from $1 million automatically changed to $10 million. So the very same project in the startup world, which wanted about maybe a budget of $1 million or maybe less.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that budget skyrocketed to $10 million. And very surprisingly, they were able to raise those $10 million and now loitering around in the market, figuring out, well, what is to be built? how are these $10 million to be used and spent? So therein lies an opportunity for investors to then question that why did you, at the first instance, raise $10 million?
Yeah.
So that's again, it goes back to the same thing again, that you have accessed public funds and then you are under a public responsibility or answerability from the people to the people from whom you have raised funds.
Sure. I think there was a rationale to raise $10 million to start with, because all of these blockchain projects which started this entire thing was not just simple projects. They were building networks, and we have seen in the previous exponential startup era that networks have been more valuable than a pipe business.
Absolutely.
So what I call pipe business is this business which builds something and delivers it to the customer. That's it.
Absolutely.
This is a pipe business, but a network is like a graph. Like everybody connects everything. And this.
So one of the best or the business trends of 2019 is actually to build ecosystems and networks and connect one technology with another. So that will have a more exponential value addition.
Actually, that was the rationale to start this entire thing. But then what people did, hey, this is a standard. So even if I'm building like any BS thing, I'll just raise $50 million. $50 million is my minimum ask. Like that became the norm.
So obviously, well, there's no. So I would conclude this by saying that it's not the amount that you raise.
Yes.
You first of all got to do your math correctly of why do you want to raise this amount. Second, you got to be absolutely clear of how will you raise funds. Put this thing in the agreement that you're doing with the people from whom you've raised or from whom you're raising funds, that we will use these funds for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 purposes. And you should ensure as a responsibility to the person who has accepted the funds not to use these funds other than these 4 or 5 things that you've mentioned in the agreement.
Yes.
So these are the things that can safeguard you. So people actually should not call you a wrong thing, even if you made an honest attempt, could not build it. It should not actually be called as a wrong action on your part.
Absolutely.
So final thoughts?
No. I think we are good with this episode of Full Stack Conversations. I think on the next episode we can also touch upon where these two things actually meet: the equity and the crypto part.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I think equity. It's good that you gave this thought that equity and crypto funding. There's something, a hybrid thing that is now coming up called the STO, or the security token offerings, which is like I would say. Tokenized equity. Now that's very interesting. Tokenized equity. I think it would require another separate video to have that conversation. But thank you so much for watching us, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much.
Bye. Hey, welcome to Full Stack Conversations.
Hey,
I'm with Varun.
Thank you so much. This is the first time that he's introduced both of us. It's generally the other way around.